Today we are going to learn how to create a Kubernetes cluster and integrate it into our GitLab project through the Google Kubernetes engine. So to get started, we're going to go to the operations and then click Kubernetes. From here, we will click Add Cluster. And we're going to create a new one through GKE. Now, if you don't see something like this, you might see something saying you need to sign in, and then you have to check all kinds of API permissions, such as resource manager, billing, the cloud engine itself. Those are some things you need to set up, and there will be helpful links to help with that. But since I've already done that, we can start on. So let's go ahead and call this K8s GitLab. We'll go ahead and allow the environment scope to be everything. We're going to select GitLab as my project. You would select whichever one you want, and then you'll select whatever zone you want it in. I'm just going to keep it there, and then how many nodes you want, I'll keep it there. And then the machine type, again, I'm just going to go with recommendations. We are going to have RBAC enabled, so we want to make sure that's clicked, and the GitLab Managed Cluster, we're going to click that so it can manage the namespace and service accounts and all that fun stuff. With that, we will click Create Kubernetes Cluster. Now it's going to start actually creating it, but if we go over here, and we refresh our Kubernetes platform, we should be able to see that it is creating. And there it is. We'll go ahead and hide that info panel. We're going to go ahead and click connect, and it's going to give us this information. We're going to copy this, go over here to our shell, go into my kube folder, and we're going to run that. Now what it's telling me here is it's fetching the cluster endpoint and auth data. It's telling me it's not running, so the API might not be available, and it gave me the kube config entry. And if we check our files, we have a config file. You might get something telling you you need to authenticate to Google Cloud, but again, I've already done that, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we can kind of check to see if it's ready with cluster-info. So we can see here it shows the master is running at this, but it's not giving us all the other details. That's because the cluster is not ready. So we're going to wait for the cluster to be completely created, and then we'll rerun the command to get the information. So with it showing the check mark now, we can go ahead and rerun that command, and we will get the master URL, the heapster, the kubedns, metrics server, the glbc default backend. That tells us that we're ready to go. So we can go back over here to our GitLab, and we'll see that it's successfully created, and we can see that it says we're ready to install the Helm tiller. Before we do that, though, we need to apply some settings. So I've got these typed up here. They're basically going to create a service account and create a cluster role on the service account and all that fun stuff. So we'll use kubectl apply-f and that file name, and we should see this fun stuff here. With that created, we should be able to go over here and click install. And with that, it tells us it's installed. Yours might take a little longer than you see in the video. Don't worry, it does take a little bit. From here, we can install Ingress, Cert Manager, Prometheus, the runner, and all that fun stuff. But tiller is where it has to start, and it is the most important. So that is something you need to make sure you do. With that, we've got it integrated, and we are good to install our various other components, our applications, and start with CI/CD, application deployment, and stuff like that. That is really all there is to it.